Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. I want to hop on today and just give a quick recap on just kind of all the craziness that's been going on. So first, we know that Elon Musk was selling all along during this week. We got the 4 and 4s last night, so I'm assuming you guys have all seen plenty of YouTube videos discussing this. So the big thing about all of this is the fact that Elon actually came out and he said that he is done selling. He's done with any planned selling. Why is this a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because he didn't do this last time, if you remember. And I think this gives a good signal for the stock market to go ahead and rally, which is pretty much what we saw today up until really recently. So let's just take a look at this real quick. So here we can see the price action from today, looking at Webull here. If I zoom in here, we can see we're starting to rally a little bit actually here going into the close. It's as of this recording, it's 3:22 p.m. And you can see we're starting to, get a little steam here perhaps. But the bigger thing is that, if you look at how the day went today, so let's go back here. And then you can see we opened up and just immediately rallied. We hit $934 a share. So the stock market clearly really enjoyed the fact that Elon Musk had announced that he was done selling, right? This is a big deal. So with that said, it also means that we are done dealing with the potential risk or overhang that we would have from from Elon buying Twitter. So with all that noise to the side, we can hopefully get a nice reaction from the stock market. But keep in mind, now the stock market, besides the not horrible Apple earnings, Apple had good earnings, but horrible guidance. Amazon wasn't great. Google wasn't great. Microsoft did decent. Right, so those are the big names. Tesla, as we all know, did phenomenal. But the big risk now is what's going to come up next week. And next week is when we're going to have the Fed meeting. And that's where it's priced in that they're going to raise interest rates by 50 basis point or 0.5%. Now, here is a bold prediction. Just going to say it now. It's a bold prediction. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'd rather say it now than not because it is something I've been thinking a lot about. So yesterday we got the GDP numbers, which were a decline, right? So a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP, and that's a recession, all right? Everybody always seems to equate a recession with 2008, right? That's such a misnomer. All right, 2008 was a freak thing, just like the Great Depression. Recessions are actually healthy. We had one during COVID, right? And it wasn't the end of the world. A recession is, think of it as just a 10 or 20% sell-off on a stock that's been going up and up and up, right? It's a healthy thing. But so with 2 consecutive declining GDPs, we already have one, right? That's what was announced yesterday. And then we have these kind of not so great earnings and even worse forecasts from all the mega tech companies. Then next week we have the Fed, who's going to have their meeting, and they're going to decide how they want to raise rates. Do they want to do a quarter? Do they want to do 50, right? But my prediction, my bold prediction, is that they're actually going to surprise us and only do a 25 basis point rate hike. Now, I think this is a long shot from happening. They're probably 100% going to do a 50 basis point. I don't think they'll do 75, but I think the Fed is now potentially getting a little worried that they may be sending us into a recession. What's even crazier to think is I don't think that we've really had time to have the reaction yet of any interest rate hikes yet. The bond market is up for sure. All right. So I think a lot of the effects of these interest rate hikes have already taken into effect. Right. We see these yields all the way up. So now it's just a matter of actually doing them. And so what's interesting is that the Fed can kind of predetermine what may or may not happen based on just going out and speaking and making certain forecasts or things that they intend to do. And so now that we just saw that this last quarter was essentially negative, they may decide to hold back and chill out a little bit and go with their initial plan, which was to do essentially 0.25% every single meeting and just kind of take it nice and slow, right? They want a soft landing. They don't want to go into recession. But here's something else too that is kind of funny. I've talked about this a few times on the channel, saying that right now we could be in a recession, and that still holds true. We don't know if we're in a recession. All right, you really never know when you're in it until after you've been in it. And so we just had a negative quarter. We may be in it, right? This next quarter may also be a contracting GDP, which would again technically be a recession. And so all this fear about recession and all that, I think it's a little overblown. If we're in a recession, okay, it's kind of inevitable. GDPs run so high up, especially after reopening from COVID, it just seems likely to happen. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Take it all with a grain of salt. Take it in stride. I think the markets are just kind of testy right now. We didn't get the earnings we wanted. We got the Fed meeting coming up next week. Once the Fed meeting's over, I think this is when we're going to have kind of a calming and take a deep breath, let it out reaction from the stock market. All right. And then we're going to really start to get into hopefully some better times and more predictable trading. Hopefully Tesla can go ahead and, spread their wings. We do have a chance of getting the announcement for the stock split, for Tesla stock split coming up. There's a chance. There's something Gary Black had mentioned. Let's see if we can just find this real quick. Yeah, so here you can see, you can see Sawyer saying Tesla should be, make sure you guys can see that, Tesla should be filing their 2022 proxy statement by Monday, May 2nd. The annual shareholder meeting is expected to take place in June. Since the pandemic, the meeting has been October. Okay, here it is. In Tesla's 10K filed on the 7th of February, Tesla said on page 97 that the 2022 proxy statement will be filed with the SEC within 120 days after the end of the fiscal year. 120 days is Monday, May 2nd. So this means that we may know when we're going to have this meeting for the stock split, and it also means that we may find out what the stock split will be. Now, based on some of these rumors coming out, some documents that supposedly have been leaked, I think it was JP Morgan, it seems like we might have a 20-for-1 split. So if that's the case, I guess that's great. I kind of personally like having a little bit of a higher stock price, but I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing regardless. I just think that the more shares you have out there, the more volume, then it's just going to lead to more erratic movements, which, hey, that could be a good thing for the stock. But the other nice thing too is that you can, let's say you needed, a couple $100, say you just need $300 for whatever. I mean, life does things. You never know what you need. And that means, and let's say you had to sell some Tesla shares to get that $300. This isn't the best example. But the point is, by splitting for 20-to-1, this means you could probably get an actual $300 versus right now having to sell $1,000 worth of a share just to have your 300. So it allows more flexibility, and this is the main reason to split it, especially for the employees and their stock purchase plans, their ESPPs. By the way, if anybody has any questions about how ESPPs work, just let me know down below in the comments. I have ESPPs. My company does ESPPs, so I've always had ESPPs with any company I've worked at, so it's something that's pretty, it's something I'm familiar with. Okay, so I want to look at one other thing. So let me look up Elon Musk. Okay, well, we got some. All right, so this is all new stuff here. So, okay. Breaking news. This is absolutely awesome. Waiting for this for a long time. FSD beta update likely to go wide release next week. Okay, so this was the initial tweet I was looking for. All this is news that's happened since I decided to just jump on here real quick. All right, Tesla owner Silicon Valley. When is FSD beta update coming? So then Elon responded saying, update probably goes to wide release next week. This is a big one. All right, so big deal here, right? Now, before I read anything else, my interpretation of this can go two ways. He said update probably goes to wide release next week. When I heard wide release, that made me think of what he's been talking about for the end of the year, wide release, meaning everybody who has FSD beta will have FSD beta, right? But the other way you could read this is that the current update that they've been working on internally, that could go to wide release for the people who are already beta testers. So it seems like somebody kind of clarified this. So let's check this out. Wide release, as in anyone who is paid is eligible. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So no, I meant wide release to high safety score beta participants. Going to all beta participants is expected later this year. Okay. All right. So either way. So ignore all that about the wide release. The main thing that I want to focus on is right here. This is a big one. I think that this may be the full stack release. In other words, we'll have highway, We'll have city streets. We'll have parking lots all together in one stack to rule them all. So that would be pretty interesting to see how that works and how it negotiates going between both to see if it's a better experience. Is it chunky? Is it clunky? Does it have any improvements or benefits? I think it would have a lot of benefits probably for people who are on the highway. FSD beta city streets obviously has to be a lot more granular and nuanced and detailed, and it just has to be better. The big difference with highway is that you're dealing with different velocities and accelerations. So lots of things that this could imply, or this just may mean that it's just a next level, right? Yet they're clearing this, this logarithm. They're clearing this logarithmic level of where they currently are for iterating on this, and now they're ready to reach yet another level higher. And maybe it's just that they've ran it through the neural nets enough times. They got more. I mean, who knows what this could be, what he means by this. But the point is, if Elon thinks this is a big one, it should be a pretty big deal. No pun intended. Okay. I think those are all the news for really today. Stock is, right now it looks like it's still in the green, barely up $5. So it's hanging in there. We have about, 30 minutes left to go here into the close. I'm very happy where the stock is right now. I think it held on strong, considering the fact that the stock market is so depressed, depleted right now. I think Tesla held up pretty good. In top of that, in the wake of Elon buying Twitter. So you can't be too upset about this. Now, another prediction besides the potential of the Fed only doing 25 basis point, and again, this is, I'm making this prediction, but like my faith in this prediction is like 10%. Now, a real prediction I have, and sorry if you see the camera keep moving. So I'm on my desk, and so every time I touch it, the camera moves, and I should be more cognizant of what I'm doing here. But another prediction that I'll have is that after the Fed meeting next week is over, I anticipate the stock to run again, or the stock market to run again, just like they did last time after they raised the rates, right? Because once it happens, well, there's no more fear, there's no more uncertainty. We know what's going to happen. And so I think that will give the stock market a nice relief from all this compression that we've been seeing as of late. So we'll see what happens. Either way, like I said, it doesn't matter. Long-term investing, all this is noise along the ride to 2030, where hopefully we're looking at a $10 trillion plus stock. So I'll see you guys in 2030. Hopefully that's where we'll end up. But we're going to leave it there for now. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. Appreciate you guys if you stuck to the end. I love you all. Peace.